The Honda CB1000GT was one of the most interesting new releases at ECMA. Now it's time to test it, and I've returned to the roads of Benidorm, where about a year ago I rode the bike this one is based on. The Honda CB1000 Hornet, back then in the SP version. Below in the comments you'll find the link to that review, give it a like, and if you haven't already, follow the Red Light channel. The dashboard is the same 5-inch diagonal color TFT already seen on the Hornet, which might feel a bit small on a bike with a different purpose like the GT. The switchgear is the same, featuring this small joystick. Here are the standard heated grips. With each successive press, you can easily select from 5 different heating levels. Notice that on the left switchgear, there is the mode selector, so you have standard, rain, user, sport, and tour riding modes available. Also, down here on the right, there is a button used to set the cruise control speed, which is separate from the button on the right switchgear that actually activates or deactivates the cruise control system. This choice by Honda is quite typical, that is to place the cruise control commands on 2 different switchgears. According to them, it makes everything simpler. With the joystick, you can access the various modes, so let's go straight to the settings. Here we have the riding mode option, and we have the preset riding modes. This is the user mode, which is customizable in terms of power delivery, so the same power but a different ratio between throttle opening and engine response. 1, 2, 3. Engine brake. 1, 2, 3. Traction control. 1, 2, 3, and off. Instead, the icons for the preset modes identify the selected riding mode: rain, sport, standard, and below we have tour with the panniers. These are fixed and cannot be changed. In user mode, you enter by pushing the joystick completely all the way to the right in the suspension adjustment section. Here, in user mode, the adjustments are displayed as a preset, specifically tour, which can be modified. So the user mode starts from one of the available preset settings, but of course you can modify it. For example, I can choose to start from tour and then adjust the damping of the fork or the shock absorber, either increasing or decreasing it. In the preload section, I can modify both the basic load configuration, so the options are rider only, rider with passenger, rider with luggage, rider with passenger and luggage, and then make further adjustments. Typically on the rider, there are more extensive modes, so 24 different levels of preload. Let's start for a moment with the design. Clearly, the entire front section is new, specific to this model. We have a more protective windscreen, whereas on the Hornet there was only a small visor framing the front headlight assembly. The headlight assembly remains the same, also derived from the Fireblade. Just like the engine hasn't changed, but it has been remapped for the occasion, with 2 horsepower less than the SP, 150 horsepower and 102 Newton meters of torque. The chassis, on the other hand, has changed more. While the front part of the frame remains unchanged, the rear section, with the subframe, which as you can see is welded, has been reinforced and lengthened. 2 crossbars reinforce it, and it's longer because it needs to accommodate a passenger, naturally support their weight and that of the luggage. The standard side cases offer a total capacity of 65 liters, plus the optional top case if needed. The capacity of the side cases is asymmetrical. In fact, on the right side there's the exhaust, so that case is less spacious. However, on the left side, you can easily fit a full-face helmet in XL size, as I was able to confirm during the test. The C1000GT also has a smart key, but it's basically only used to turn on the dashboard. To unlock the fuel tank, the seat, and the side cases, you still need to take out the metal key. This is clearly a cost-saving decision, but it's also not very practical. There's a change in electronics. The EMU finally arrives, which wasn't present on the CB1000 Hornet, and it brings with it a series of additional features. Some are minor, like the automatic deactivation of the turn signal after a turn, while others are much more significant, such as the management of the Showa semi-active suspensions, which come as standard. In addition to the standard maps, rain and sport, there are now tour and user modes. Naturally, user mode is the fully customizable one, allowing you to adjust parameters such as power delivery, that is, the relationship between throttle rotation and engine response, engine braking, and traction control. There are 3 levels for each of these parameters. The same principle applies to the Showa semi-active suspension. Each map is associated with a predefined setting, a preset for the semi-active suspension. However, the user map allows you to do whatever you want, adjusting the hydraulic settings for both the front and rear, as well as the rear preload, which can be set to 24 different positions. The front preload, on the other hand, can only be adjusted manually, so you have to make mechanical adjustments directly on the suspension. Riding position. Compared to the Hornet, the seat is 16 millimeters higher, so the position has changed slightly. Naturally, it's more comfortable. The wide handlebar and the seat handlebar foot peg triangle have been rotated backwards, so your torso is more upright, a more comfortable, definitely more comfortable position. The foot pegs allow for a non-restrictive angle, so overall, the riding position is definitely comfortable. Here we also have an additional feature, which is a comfort seat with a different mounting. So in reality, the seating surface with the rider on board remains at the same height from the ground as the standard seat. This feature, which is part of specific accessory packages, is also offered for the passenger, so it's available for both. Wind protection is of course a fundamental aspect. Honda offers manual adjustment of the windshield in 5 positions, so it's height adjustable, with the standard one allowing for 81 millimeters of adjustment. This is an optional, even taller windshield that is part of Honda's original accessories. With just one hand, even while riding, you can adjust and choose your preferred height and get wind protection that, after testing it for about 150 kilometers, including around 30 kilometers on the highway, I can say is effective in the central area, so the helmet area is well protected. It's less effective on the shoulders, so this area is exposed to the wind even when the windshield is in its highest position. In addition to the standard protection, which in this case is enhanced by the optional taller adjustable windshield, there are other options on this bike, such as these deflectors that provide the rider with even more protection. The handguards come as standard. They serve an aerodynamic protective function as well as protection from debris. As for heat transmission, it can definitely be said that this is not a problem for the Honda CB1000GT because even though the temperature here isn't actually high, it's about 15 degrees. In the sections where we slowed down and stopped at traffic lights, no heat reaches the rider. Vibrations are a topic that concerns comfort, of course, and they affect comfort when they're present. And in this case, they are present because you can feel them a bit at all rev ranges, both on the handlebars and on the foot pegs. Unfortunately, this also happens at highway speeds, that is at 130 kilometers per hour, when the instruments show 5,200 revolutions per minute. This also happens during transitions, especially when decelerating, where vibrations appear even in the seat area, while during acceleration, they are instead concentrated on the handlebars and foot pegs. How do the Showa EERA suspensions work? Overall, the standard settings are very well calibrated. In fact, the bike always offers excellent support both at the front and the rear. With my weight of 73 kilograms, I never had any issues with the bike squatting during acceleration, nor with sudden or excessive diving when braking. In rain mode, which I tested to check the differences compared to the other modes, the engine delivery is perhaps even a bit too smooth, while the suspensions remain just firm enough to ensure comfort even on possible bumps and to provide adequate support. Standard mode is also good, which could be the typical setting both for engine delivery and for engine braking, traction control, and suspension. Even better, at least today, on very fast roads and with a brisk pace, is the sport mode, where the support during braking, even when coming in quite hard, is always excellent. It really surprised me because compared to other semi-active suspensions, there is definitely some excellent fine-tuning work here, so Honda once again proves to be particularly attentive during the product development phase. The rear is also good because the monoshock always provides support even without ever touching the stock preload. So there's always support during acceleration, the bike remains very balanced, and this allows you to achieve the best dynamic performance. As for the brakes, we have a pair of 310mm front discs with 4 piston V-mount calipers and a 240mm rear disc. It's a very well-balanced system that provides good deceleration, not exceptional, but the spirit of this bike isn't about last-second all-out braking. Perhaps the ABS, now even in sport mode, is slightly too conservative, so it tends to kick in a bit more than you'd expect for a sport map, which is usually used when you're really riding at a fast pace.
The driving chapter opens with a consideration, a necessary premise. We are not in Italy here. The roads are not those destroyed, dangerous, busy ones where we often find ourselves. No, here we are in Spain, which seems like a motorcyclist's Eden. 15 degrees with mild temperatures, even in the middle of autumn, zero traffic, perfect asphalt. The stock tires, the Michelin Road 6 GT, are not ideal for tackling the first kilometers of riding because they don't inspire confidence, especially on the still cold morning asphalt. But after just a few kilometers, what prevails is the quality of the design, with everything that entails in terms of ease and pleasure of riding. Alternatively, the first equipment also includes the Bridgestone Batlax Sport Touring T32 tires. Great feeling right from the start. This is a bit of Honda's core philosophy, making even sporty, performance-oriented riding accessible and enjoyable to everyone, regardless of their individual abilities, skill levels, or previous riding experience. In this particular case, I firmly believe that the fundamental and most significant contribution comes from the advanced Showa EERA suspension system, which is a key component that makes the bike so exceptionally well balanced that it exponentially increases and enhances the overall feeling of confidence and control for the rider. In fact, the positive sensation is always having support, always feeling safe, always having immediate feedback. The bike is quite manageable without being extremely quick, and it's very stable even at high speeds. Honda CB1000GT, what I liked and what I liked less. What I didn't like: wind protection on a bike that also has touring ambitions. The windshield, which is adjustable in 5 positions, in this case it's the optional extended one, covers the helmet area well but leaves the shoulders exposed, and this could be bothersome over long distances. The engine's power delivery at low revs is a bit lacking in torque, so you have to use the gearbox more, which does have an excellent quick shifter and is very precise, but you need to keep in mind that you'll be shifting more often than you would on other bikes in this segment. Absolute praise for the Showa EERA suspension, the semi-active ones that, thanks to the IMU data, provide a very, very good riding feel with all the presets, so there's no need to customize a map yourself. Even the preset ones are very good in terms of adjustment. There's balance, there's equilibrium, the fork never dives too much, and the shock absorber provides support. The result is a great feeling. So the addition of the IMU and the Showa EERA suspension is excellent. There are 3 color options. This beautiful red called Grand Prix Red, another one that's just as nice, maybe even more elegant, a matty gray, and a classic black. I like the balance between price and features because there are a lot of features. Tons of original Honda accessories, many of which you can see on this model, like the larger windshield and the deflectors. You can also add the top case, and these can be grouped into packages, which can then be combined with each other. At this point, all that's left is for you to go wild in the comments right below and ask us anything.